and welcome everyone in the panel. Over the last couple of years, we have seen a number of leaders, companies introducing the sustainable strategies and actually embedding them into the overall strategies of the organizations. We have also seen the circular economy rules and approach that were introduced into the number of processes. That requires from the companies investment, know-how, changes of the organization, processes, and also the cultural shift across the entire organizations. So the pandemic that hit the economy caused the slowdown and also the decrease of the consumer disposable incomes. So with today's panels, we would like to discuss to which extent it's still possible to recover and maintain the sustainable goals, in parallel also balancing the financial and economical objectives of the organizations. We have a great privilege to discuss today this with the finest panelists, executives that are representing both FMCG companies and also retail. Let me introduce Karin Skold, Country Retail Manager and Chief Sustainable Officer from IKEA Poland. Welcome. Niels Juhl, I'm glad Niels you made it to go through. General Manager, Hub Poland and the Baltic State at L'Oréal Poland. Welcome.
Thank you.
Maciej Podwojski, Sales and Operations Manager at Primark Poland. Welcome.
Hi there.
Rafał Walędzik, Managing Director, HPO, the Kraft Heinz Company East Team. Welcome in the panel.
Good afternoon.
So we were also planning to have a representative from Coca-Cola, but I believe it's still he couldn't go through. In case he joins us, we will also introduce him and add him to the discussion. So welcome everyone in the panel. And I would like to start this discussion also looking at, this great opportunity, different backgrounds that you are representing, different industries, about how really the recovery of the pandemic, which is in front of every single industry, can be balanced with maintaining of the sustainable growth, whether the sustainable way in the recovery, definitely it's a challenge, the recovery, but can be also a great opportunity for the companies. So I would lead first maybe to Karin from IKEA. What is your point of view on this?
Thank you, Rafał. We see that the pandemic shows that sustainable growth is more important than ever. And we can also see that the pandemic proves that business can operate in a more sustainable way. For example, during this year, we have had limited emissions in the sense that we are having more online meetings, we have limited business travel, and also, of course, that our customers are choosing the online channels to come and shop with us. And I think that although it's been a very, let's say, difficult year, and we had the stores closed for 7 weeks, we have actually managed to grow this year. And I think that's a fantastic achievement considering. And this is mainly due to our fantastic online sales result, where we have grown the online business from about 10% to almost 20%. And we will, of course, continue to develop this online. And I think for this year going forward, we will put even more focus on sustainability. It will be for us the leap year of sustainability. And in this, we want to, of course, promote the sustainable consumption, but we also want to provide knowledge and inspiration to all the customers how you can actually live a healthier and more sustainable life. And here we are super proud because we have already today 4,000 products in our range of around 9,000-10,000 products that are more sustainable, meaning that they are either coming from sustainable sources, are produced sustainable, and also we are really increasing our offer of also vegan and vegetarian products. And of course, we also do all the solutions as well that will help customers to live more sustainable at home. For example, we have our home solar offer so that the customers can produce their own green energy. We also have products in this range that can help customers to save energy, like the LED bulbs, but also, for example, water-saving taps, induction hobs, air cleaning curtains. So quite a lot of different aspects that we see that can support a sustainable consumption going forward.
Very interesting. So what you have said is that the consumer behavior is also shifting towards the more sustainable consumption, and you see that also as a great opportunity for new products or services that you can introduce. Okay, very interesting.
Yes, definitely.
And Niels, from your perspective, L'Oréal has introduced also, I would say, very interesting and broad approach towards sustainability. How do you see this also being conducted for the future? And also evolving, balancing the recovery, financial objectives, and sustainability.
Well, thank you, Rafael. I think it's both a challenge and an opportunity, but above all, I think it's a necessity. For me, there is really no choice. I think companies like ours, like my esteemed colleagues on the panel, we have a role to play. We can't rely on governments and NGOs alone. We will have to play an important role here together with our consumers, of course. So I think it's really a necessity. When that is said, you're right that in an economic climate after a recession like this with a pandemic, it's obviously challenging, but I don't think there's any way around it. And I think in the end, the consumers will favor and choose brands, companies, products that have a sustainability impact and profile. It is only going one way. The only thing I think the pandemic has increased is perhaps also a bigger new social awareness. So apart from sustainability, there's also become a big social awareness where companies have come together. We changed the production of our factory to hand sanitizers in 2 weeks. We have teamed up with a vodka company here to have the alcohol necessary to produce. We donated to hospitals. I had transport companies calling me saying that we will distribute it for free, etc. So there was a whole social awareness that the pandemic has pushed forward that I think is an important part of a sustainability agenda. So I think this is above all a necessity, but when that is said, it will automatically become an opportunity. And we see that we, together with our consumers, we have an obligation to help them make sustainable choices. Like Karin was mentioning, not only should they be able to find the products, they should also know what these products do. So we are working, for instance, on a very extensive product labeling system where we simply show all our consumers what the sustainability impact or the environmental impact of our products will be. What will it be in terms of CO2 emissions? Is it sustainably produced? Is it made of sustainable ingredients? Sorry. How is the packaging? How do we reduce consumption of virgin plastic, etc.? So it's also our responsibility to help our consumers make sustainable choices and live by that sustainably.
That was interesting what you said, that the companies actually, even beyond the politicians, organizations, should lead by example. And second, what was interesting, you said that also the consumers' consciousness in consumption will also push and requires companies to follow. And it also should be a great opportunity for the ones that really have a right proposition, yes, for the consumers. Okay, that's very interesting. And Mr. Maciej, from fashion industry, how do you see that? Fashion was one of the industry that was severely hit by the pandemic, with the stores, let's say, closing down. And fashion, it's not necessarily was the not priority one, let's say, category to be purchased during the lockdown. How do you see this from fashion perspective?
Okay, thank you, Rafael. Yeah, you see, when we closed our doors during the pandemic, it gave us a good chance to accelerate our plans to become a more sustainable company. While we've been on this journey to become more sustainable for many years, now we also recognize that our work today did not match our ambitions. And we know our customers and over 70,000 employees who work for us. They all want us to do more. We've been making good progress with our sustainable cotton program. So as I mentioned, we have sustainable cotton program. We have ranges from recycled materials. More recently, we launched our in-store recycling scheme in the UK. But again, given our size and our reach, we know we can do better. We can have a bigger and more significant impact. And more than anything else, we want to do this our Primark way. Primark was founded on the idea that fashion should be affordable for everyone. And we believe this ethos should apply for responsibilities as a company too. At Primark, we believe sustainable fashion shouldn't have to come with a big price tag, which is why we are on a journey to rethink and reimagine our business impact in a way that's going to be accessible and affordable for everyone. There's a long way to go, but we are serious and committed to creating a better future for people and our planet. And for the first time this September, we are revealing more of the work that is going on to support our plans. Our campaign spans across all 384 stores in 13 markets globally. And to be honest, it all revolves around three commitments that we have. The first commitment is we want to eliminate all single plastic from our business. We've already reduced more than 175 million units during the past year alone. The second, we are committed to significantly increase the use of recycled materials, and not as one-off, but we are producing a whole ranges. This autumn, we are introducing a range of new everyday essentials across kids, women's, and men's, made with the sustainable materials. And number three, while we have already announced our commitment to training and educating over 160,000 cotton farmers on more environmental friendly farming practices by 2022. From this autumn, we'll increase the number of sustainable cotton products from our Primark Sustainable Cotton Program to 60 million items. Thank you very much.
That's very interesting. I will come back about this, the whole supply chain, because I quite important part that sustainability is a broad topic and it's actually applying multiple dependencies between the partners. But let me come back on this one with the next question. Mr. Rafał, from your perspective, FMCG company, the leader of the market, how do you see this sustainable growth during the recovery from your perspective?
Thank you, Rafał, for the question. Maybe I will start with saying that big companies of that world, blue chip companies, I think they have the power and responsibility and all the tools needed to drive that sustainability agenda. So I think we are here obliged, and as Niels said already, yes, we are obliged, and I would say we are responsible for driving that agenda, and behind our company stand a lot of resources which we can use to do that. And of course, one company will not change the world, so we have to work together towards that sustainability agenda. Kraft Heinz at that moment has just launched new ESG report where you would see where we are focusing, but it's not like we just started. I think all of FMCG companies they have their agenda for many years and they are pushing it forward. And I think that the current situation of COVID is not stopping us. Yes, for Kraft Heinz, is even we are speeding up. Yes, so we have much more in our new ESG report and ESG agenda than we used to have before. I think what is the most important in our plan is that we want to cover 3 different areas. We call them environmental stewardship, responsible sourcing, and healthy living and community support. And those are the 3 big pillars where we want to focus in driving our sustainability agenda and move forward with making our world nicer. And there are a lot of areas which I don't want to cover, but I just mentioned that we are a big producer and we are using quite a lot of palm oil. When you know how the palm oil is produced, so normally when it's not a sustainable source, they destroy forests and they do quite a lot of harm to different parts of the world. They are not only destroying trees, but they are also destroying animals and they are really killing them. So using that opportunity and connecting with sustainable sources of palm oil, we can save 2 things. We can save trees, but also we can save some species which are really disappearing from our world just right now. And that's one. And the second, giving 2 other examples, guys. We, as a producer of ketchup, we have product Heinz and such a very iconic bottle, which is the glass bottle. And of course, when you go to Germany, you would see how the glass is collected in the stores. Yes, we don't do that, or we haven't been doing that. And it's so easy just to copy that. So in the UK, an example, right now, we are launching such an agenda where we'll be cycling the bottles in order to have our impact on the footprint, carbon footprint, and also, of course, on the sustainability of our business. That's one of the examples. Second example, which is a little different, we are working right now towards having all the plastic bottles, where you can imagine we produce quite a lot of them, to be sustainable or to be recyclable, fully recyclable. They are not today. We are also fighting on the other side on healthy living and community support. And it's not only about teaching people how to become more ecological and which products are supporting that trend, but also it is all about supporting communities to live better, to have a better, healthier food from sustainable resources, and that's what we do as Kraft Heinz. Last but not least, I will jump a little to the COVID, and I will say that during that COVID, we have launched a very unique, I would say, on the Polish market activity where we supported food service business. So when the food service business collapsed around end of Q1, we created a special program, and we were waiting for the opportunity when all the whole business restarted, and we supported that business with this free products, with very good promotions, and also our support to help them communicate out on the market that they produce healthy products. They use all those safety measures in order to restore their business. So that's how we were trying to impact the Polish market on the food service side.
That was very interesting. I mean, you touch also this topic around biodiversity, which is becoming another single important element. So topics like deforestation, preventing the species disappearing, I think is also very, very relevant. I think in Poland about biodiversity, there was not so many discussion in public yet. And I think it's going to be a bigger discussion about how the industries can really support this into their strategy. So great example. And I also see that the first, after first question, there is a quite positive outlook. So that the consumers expect that. There is also the certain mindset on the executive boards that you are representing here about that it's irreversible, yes, that this will continue. And the pandemic actually not change the course. It's more about sometimes even speed up. It's more about how to make it further and to the next level. So which is, I think, quite nice outcome and great from this discussion. So going to the next question about the value chain. Yes, the sustainability is a broad topic, and it's also company cannot introduce this alone. You need to work with suppliers, partners, organizations, NGOs. So Karin, from your perspective at IKEA, you're working with also a number of suppliers and partners. How do you see this, how to make this value chain connected, that everyone is working against the same objectives from your perspective?
Yeah, thank you. No, I agree with you what you concluded as well, right? That I think this is something that is actually just speeded up. And when it comes to the value chain, we have really ambitious goals. And what is that we have set is that we have set the goals as a brand, which means that it's across the whole value chain and it's across the whole world, so IKEA worldwide. And that is that we will be climate positive and 100% circular by 2030. So of course it's a super ambitious goal. And it means that we will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by, for example, we will be 100% using renewable electricity by 2025. We will go for 100% renewable heating and cooling in all the units by 2030. We will also have zero emissions in home deliveries in all our 30 retail markets by 2025. And we will also roll out this home solar offer to all our consumers across all markets. And I think putting this a little bit in a Polish perspective, IKEA in Poland is quite a unique market, you can say, because here in Poland, we have the entire value chain represented. We have production, we have distribution, and we have the stores. So looking at that scale of it, we are around 16,000 employees in the IKEA companies here in Poland. But if you would look into the entire value chain, we are looking at around 75,000 employees. And Poland is the second largest production country for IKEA, just after China. And it also means, of course, that it also is the second largest source of energy consumption. So from that perspective, Poland is super important for us in our sustainability agenda. And we already started in 2011 to invest in wind farms and renewable energy. And as of 2016, we are now producing, we have 6 wind farms consisting of 80 wind turbines, and they together produce 450 gigawatt hours of electricity every year. Now that is maybe a difficult number to understand, but it's equal to around 188,000 households on an annual basis. So it actually produces more than we consume in our stores' distribution centers. And this is something that we will continue to also work upon across the globe to really fulfill these very ambitious targets that we have set for the whole value chain.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting view also on the fact that Poland, and from the manufacturing and also market, it's very important for IKEA, and understand that you have also the value chain, and the changes you are implying will also be, let's say, reflected on the Polish market in a strong way. So great example. Niels, from your perspective, L'Oreal, it's a huge conglomerate working with number of suppliers, partners. How do you also making sure or introducing those partners to support your sustainable goals as the organization?
Well, I think that what we do is that we have, and we've had for many, many years, have an audit system which goes both ways in the value chain. So all the way from the ingredients that we source to the producers. We have social audits, we have audits on sustainability, on producing, on deforestation, etc., etc. So we have audits all the way along the chain to ensure that all of our suppliers and all of our partners work in sustainable ways. And we only choose partners that can produce and live up to those standards and that kind of audit. And then both for that and then for our own industries, as with Karin was mentioning again, we have also in just outside Warsaw one of the biggest plants of L'Oreal in the world. And there again, it's our local responsibility to make sure that we both on a global and a local basis adhere to this. So here we are working, we have introduced now a closed water loop factory, which means that we do not generate any waste in terms of water. We reuse all water that we have. We have reduced CO2 emissions by 40%, and we want to go further. We haven't had any waste sent to landfill for the last 10 years, 20 years, sorry, from that factory. So both in our factories locally, as an example here in Poland, but all through the value chain, we have audits and demands to comply with this. So I think we can, again, as a big supplier, as a big producer, we can control that chain and choose which suppliers we will work with, and by that we can also sustain the whole sustainability agenda.
Yes, that was a very great example. So the large companies actually have a very strong impact about the producers, the whole value chain, and by the scale you are providing, that means that the sustainability also will be distributed across large parts of the economy, because you are representing the large part of the market globally. So by doing and introducing those standards, you're really making the impact about how this value chain is operating. So very, very interesting example. Mr. Maciej, from your perspective as fashion industry, fashion is also complex supply chains, also working with number of subcontractors, manufacturers. How can you also make sure that you and support the control of the value chain towards your sustainable goals?
Yes, thank you. We need to start first with the fact that Primark, as the international retailer, recognizes the responsibility to the environment, and strive to minimize the impact wherever we can. We have a wide range of the environmental sustainable programs that work across our supply chain, from the sourcing of raw materials, right through production to in-store efficiencies. As an example, in our day-to-day operations, last financial year, 96% of all the waste generated by the stores and warehouses were recycled, recovered, or beneficially used. The vast majority of our products are shipped by the sea rather than air freight, and our famous brown bags are made of 100% recycled materials and are also 100% recyclable. We require our suppliers and their factories to commit to making our products in factories with good working conditions, so that people are treated decently and paid a fair wage. We have a team of over 120 ethical trade and environmental specialists who work closely with our suppliers to improve the sustainability of our business and ensure good conditions for the workers, in line with our Code of Conduct, which is based on the United Nations International Labour Organization standards. Annually, the team carries out more than 3,000 audits of our suppliers' factories, at least one per each year. Through this rigorous and consistent approach, our aim is to have a direct, lasting, and sustainable influence on working conditions in the whole chain. Thank you.
The fashion industry is definitely one of the industry that is really looked at right now about how they're progressing. So very good examples. You also mentioned about fair wages. I think this is also another important aspect about sustainability. And Mr. Rafał, from your perspective, in terms of value chain control, what is your experience here, and how the companies like you can really also support this in the value chain?
So I think I will here just structurize it a little as a process, and I will probably summarize of what already my colleagues here said, that we look on all these areas where we can create the value here in the ESG agenda, and starting with suppliers not only of the raw material but also suppliers of the machines. Yeah, so we have a special supplier guidelines principles. And we also do those things which we just talked about. So we do a lot of tests, we do a lot of checks and audits on the side of suppliers, both machines and also raw materials. On the raw materials side, so maybe on the machine side, we are looking for those producers who can prepare the machines the way that they use less energy or they recycle somehow energy. Yes, so those are the directions which we are looking at right now. And all the capital investment we do are also connected with that agenda. Second are the suppliers of the raw materials, and I already mentioned that a little, but just to confirm, our new agenda focus on, in example, 100% recyclable packaging, which means that we have to closely cooperate with our producers of packaging in order to deliver the target. The second is the sustainable source of tomatoes. So we are, as you can imagine, a huge producer of ketchup, and that includes tomatoes. In 2025, we want to have 100% all over the world sustainable source of tomatoes. The same goes for eggs. We use quite a lot of eggs. We want to have a free-range eggs. And also we are working on it right now with our suppliers. We have started that already a few years ago, and we're looking towards that. The closest, I think, is that what I already mentioned about the palm oil and the whole effect you already know. And then we look inside the factory, and we are trying also to find our own way to make it more green. In example, in Italy, 2 years ago, we introduced a special line where we are reusing hot water to produce something else in the factory. Yeah, so we are not throwing that water away, but we are reusing that energy to support the other lines in that factory. And then when we look outside with the finished goods, I think here is one of the most important cooperations we have with retailers. And they have their own agenda, and we have to somehow combine those agendas of those two group of companies and try to work as one, and deliver the projects here on the Polish market together. So I think this is important from a perspective, an example, fully recyclable bottles, which we talked about. Yes, without retailers, and I'm looking here on Karin. She was talking about it. So we have to cooperate closely with the retailers in order to achieve that. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So those are the areas we are looking at today as a whole chain. But I want to underline that without supporting each other, I mean, in the whole process, but also working together as we are here, we will never deliver that agenda in the future. Yes? So we have to work together to achieve that. That's the main, I think, message from me.
Very nicely stated. We have to work together to achieve those goals. I think it's quite a nice summary of the discussion so far. My next question is about educating of the consumers. So from one part, it's leading by the example. The other part of this question is about transparency of the companies and really sharing some of the information about how their products have been manufactured in terms of the sustainability. How do you see this from your industries? I can have volunteers now to answer this question. I'm not going to lead to every one of you. So yes, Niels, go ahead, please.
Well, as I was mentioning earlier, one of the important things is that we must allow our consumers to make good choices, and to do that, the only way to do that is transparency. And of course, it's difficult in today's world where we also see what I think some people call greenwashing. So there are marketing campaigns perhaps with not enough content behind it. But to allow people to make sustainable choices, I think is important. And for that, we need transparency and information. That's why, as I was mentioning, we're developing a product impact labeling system, which means basically that you take a score from A to F or whatever, and I mean A is the product with the least impact on the environment, and then you give people possibilities to go in and see how is this product sourced, how was it produced, where was it produced, etc. And all of these, I think it's 14 different planetary impact factors that are given by the UN, and then you label and you classify your product along with this, and that will allow people to make sustainable choices. So I think that is one of the important ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. Great example. Do you think that the industry will follow to have that kind of marking, labeling of the products? It will become a standard?
No, it will probably take years before we agree on standards or a proper labeling way of doing it, and we probably have many different ideas. But you asked earlier, the first question was opportunity, and I'm convinced that in any case, it will be a competitive advantage to be transparent. So I think that will push us all in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So the companies that will be early adopters may win the consumers of the ones that are lagging in this process.
That's my firm belief, yes.
Okay. Anyone else would like to comment about consumer education?
I can maybe just make a short remark. Of course, we want to encourage all our customers to look for more sustainable and certified products and services. And we also see that this is the demand from the customers. And I would like to link it back to what Maciej you shared from Primark before, because in IKEA, we believe that the price tag for sustainable products should not be higher. It should not be a premium. So what we are really focusing on now is to make also all our sustainable products that they are affordable. And we are also making a conscious price investment towards these products because like I shared, they should not be a premium. They should be something that are available for the many people. And that is, I think, also with our volumes that we have, that is really how we can also scale and drive the change. For example, if I just share just super quickly on the agenda that we have when it comes to materials. Today, we have 100% of our cotton from this Better Cotton initiative. We have 100% of all the wood that is coming from FSC certified sources. And of course, this then also means quite a big scale of an impact in the business.
Very good examples, especially the ones you mentioned about pricing, that actually sustainability shouldn't mean premium. And I also believe, you may comment this, but with the companies like you, with the scale you have, if you make particular materials a standard, that means the volumes should also impact the fact to lower the cost of production. So if that was something that is produced only for one line of the product, and now it becomes a standard across all of the products, it's a different change, and also the way to manage the cost of the production. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is a very important factor.
Of course it is, and that's exactly, for example, how we went into the whole LED production, that we took a really bold decision to phase out all our incandescent bulb and go 100% with LED. And of course, the price tag for the first LED bulb compared to what we actually sell it for now shows exactly what you say, right? By going in fully committed and going in with the volumes, we also managed to sell it at a very competitive price.
Perfect. My next question is about this new business model that the particular circular economy allows. For example, refilling, repairing, recycling, re-commerce also appears. If you could also give me the perspective to which extent that type of initiatives will popularize across consumers, but also could become an interesting new revenue stream for the companies. So everyone who would like to add comments, please step in.
I can start. So building on what we said and answered on the previous question, I think consumers, they don't want to have those products, with a higher price, but they still want to take care and more for the environment. So I think the best way for us is to look for such a trends which consumer likes, and then connect them with sustainable recyclable products. Give an example here. I know that the FMCG market and the packaging, but probably not only FMCG, even CPG, I would say, knows that consumers are really lazy in the brackets and they like convenience products. And convenience means a lot: plastic, easy open, and those things are not healthy for the environment. So if we can connect that trend, consumer trend, with sustainability agenda, that's the best what we can do. And of course, at the same time, we have to take care about our incomes and our profits. So what we do in Kraft Heinz, when we want to introduce fully recyclable bottle, at the same time, we are working on the whole chain in order to save money in the other areas, to keep the price at the same level, but at the same time, give consumers a bottle which is fully recyclable and communicate that on the packaging.
I would like to comment about these new models.
Of course, this is an agenda where we have a very, very big responsibility. And I think that scale is a key word here, again, when we speak about large companies, that we have the scale to influence all of this. If we start making sure that we do not use virgin plastic anymore, and we've committed our company to simply stop using virgin plastic by 2030, and already reducing that by half in 5 years, and only use renewable or recyclable or bio-based plastics by this, then we will create also the demand, which again will drive the prices down, and again will allow all of us to offer these kind of products at a price which is available and absorbable for all consumers.
I just want to tell a couple of sentences about the new initiative from Primark, which we recently launched, which is the in-store recycling scheme for the customers who can recycle any brand of pre-loved clothes, textiles, shoes, and bags. At the moment, it is available in any of our 190 stores across the UK. We are aiming to roll out the scheme to the rest of the 12 markets in a due course. Interestingly, in February 2020, we launched our first ever pop-up store. We wanted to mark this launch, with that our launch of our wellness collection. As a brand, that was Primark's largest sustainable product move, and the wellness collection was launched under our Primark Cares initiative. This is the commitment to being a responsible retailer and offering more products made using environmentally friendly materials. And all products within the collection were made using organic cotton, recycled materials, sustainable materials. And we are encouraging the shoppers to put their personal well-being first through comfort, rest, and reflection. The fixtures, hangers, and packaging used to display the stock were all made with FSC card and wood. Thank you.
Because I think those models, what they have in common is also that they bring some savings for the consumers. For example, the repair is cheaper than buying a new thing. The refill, okay, not always, but in many cases, when it's possible, it's an option. And then a refill, for example, also could be, some companies already starting with refilling of some of the cosmetics, for example, some products. It's also, we have seen pilots in Poland. The recycling is basically also the opportunity in collecting the product. It's preventing them from landing in the landfills and staying them for many years. Yes, so really closing the loop. And if the consumer can be engaged this, I think it could be also be a beneficial for both ways. The last question I have, it's about the plastic. We discussed a little bit about plastic already, but I think COVID for a period of time also introduced some kind of manner of a single use of plastic. We have plastic gloves all over the place. We have people protecting themselves and using single-use products. But do you think that changed something in the consumer mindset about general plastic approach, or that was really understood as a special occasion that appeared only once, but generally the awareness of reducing the plastic will still continue and will grow? What is your view on this plastic use?
So I was last week on the different conference, and there was a company which was showing recent research on the Polish and European consumers. And the simple outcome of that research is that consumers, they haven't been thinking about sustainability, about recyclability of the packaging. So I think we are in the time where definitely the use of plastic will go up, but at the same time, consumers will be looking, and they are looking for the products which are supporting the environment. So I think here we definitely see that growth, but at the same time, all the initiatives we have been just talking about will also decrease the amount of plastic we use, or increase the amount of recyclable plastic which we use in the future. And I think that's very important. So consumers, they haven't changed their mind. There is a recent need to use more, but they also want to support reduction of plastic, reduction of usage of unrecyclable plastic. And I think, just to close, I would also touch another point, because we haven't been discussing about it, but it's important that also governments and European Union will push us and push consumers for that trend of recyclable products and, recycle all the possible materials. And I think we as producers can also support that process by showing consumers which part of our products are recyclable, which are not, in an easy way, in order to support that governmental process which has started in Poland recently and will be really significantly pushed during the next 2 years. Yeah, so probably everybody knows about that. Thank you.
Yes, talking also about this new global plastic economy initiatives. Yes, that it's also supporting this. Okay, we have one question on the panel about funds and the general financial capital markets approach towards the sustainability. We have recently heard the BlackRock, so the leader in terms of funds, giving a very bold statement that they are going only to invest in the initiatives that keeping the sustainability goals in their strategies. I think that was one of the strongest information on the capital markets, how also the financial and capital industry is changing towards sustainability. From you as an executive perspective, do you also see that there is, in terms of stakeholders approach, is it really sustainability becomes, I don't know, top 3 priorities of the agenda when you're talking about strategic meetings? Is it really that strong in terms of the priorities?
Maybe I can jump in here. For IKEA, I would say definitely yes. I think one important thing to maybe show the importance of sustainability is that now in every market, the CEO is also the chief sustainability officer, taking a really responsibility for sustainability, and that's how high it is on the agenda. And IKEA's vision is to create a better everyday life for the many people, and it really, this focus on sustainability goes hand in hand with our vision and our values. But also it makes a lot of business sense, and that is why we are making bold investments into sustainability. And just to mention these wind farms I spoke about earlier, here in Poland we have invested 250 million euros into the wind farms, and of course it's because it makes sense from our direction, our values perspective, but it also makes business sense.
This is a very, very interesting topic and a very important one, because without investors, not many things can happen. However, I would encourage you to share your thoughts in the chat mode, to share with all the participants. Thank you for presenting such a multifaceted landscape of sustainable retail. It's really many different threads that popped up here, and that will be discussed in more detail in over the next 3 days in the next sessions. So now we have to go to the next session. Thank you so much for.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very
For
much.
the great discussion.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.